with Luka potentially returning for the Mavs in Game 3, just what sort of impact do you think he's going to bring for Dallas in this series moving forward?
I mean, I'm concerned as a fan and just, as an overall human being because we all know what calf strains can do. We all know how they can linger. We all know how annoying they can be. And I mean, like, again, I always bring the example. KD had a calf strain in the 2019 finals. He had it in the playoffs, and he was out relatively that entire postseason. And he still ended up tearing his Achilles. Now, again, I don't know the situation or the medical condition that KD technically was in. I don't know what Luka's actual condition is because we can all know, they graded them the same thing. They were both calf strains. One ended up being a career-altering injury. Thankfully, KD recovered. Luka Doncic is sitting here at 23 years old in the first round, and his team is currently tied going into the opponent's home court. If I'm Dallas, personally, I'm giving him one more game. I'm making sure that leg is 100% as good as it can be for the situation that it is, because we all know that if he does come back in game 3 or game 4, it is 100% not going to be fully recovered, at least in my opinion. He's still not practicing at a clip to where he is at full strength or full speed, but again, Dallas is making sure that he is limited in practice. So I'm kind of just looking at this overall from a Maverick standpoint of if we keep them out one game, what's the worst that happens? We're down 2-1, or we're up 2-1. It's not like game 4. If we lose this one, like if he doesn't play in this one, we could go down 3-1. Granted, you don't want to go down in a playoff series at all, especially without your best player. But if I'm Dallas and I'm looking at the team and I'm looking at how we performed in that last game and the resiliency and how Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber led the team, and we're still waiting for obviously Dorian Finney-Smith to have one of those big games. We're still waiting on Spencer Dinwiddie to have one of those pop-off games that we know he can have. Dwight Powell has played relatively well towards the end of the season. We know we can do it. We're waiting on Reggie Bullock to have a big game too. Everybody is doing their part, and we just needed that one person to push us over the edge and really carry us through it. I really do believe that it's possible for us to take another game in Utah without rushing Luka's longevity. Because let's just be frank, if he ends up tweaking it again in this game and he's out for the remainder of the series or remainder of the playoffs, what's that going to do for us? What's that going to do for Luka's career? So I'm just being cautious. I really want the doctors to be like he's 100% okay as much as he can. I know that's what they said about KD, but personally, I want Luka to make it the rest of the way. I don't want them to rush him back, so I'm just a little bit nervous as to how early it is they're going to bring him back.
Now, if he does come back in this series and he's healthy enough to where that calf issue isn't really something that lingers and it's really debilitating for him, do you think it has a profound impact on as far as Dallas winning the
Yeah,
series?
100%. Obviously, it's Luka is one of the most ball dominant players in the league. Luka is one of the most electrifying players in the league that can also get everybody else involved. He can also rebound the basketball. So when you just look at a player that can do all three phases and has improved on the defensive end, I will give him some kind of credit. Uh, Even if he's not 100% and he just drives to the basket, the thought of Luka being at the paint, or should I say in the paint, someone's going to be open because they're going to collapse. If Luka does his isolation and, obviously somebody's open, he's going to try to find them and he won't have to rely as much offensively without putting that much strain. My concern is on the defensive end. How much effort is he going to be able to put on that leg? How much weight is he going to be able to put in the post or, pushing the ball in transition? So if Luka plays and he's good to go, his impact is immediately puts us in favor to win. So that is a good thing. Again, it's just a matter of how long is he going to be able to go, and is he going to be on a minute restriction?
Well, I think if Dallas is smart, I think they put him on a minutes restriction at first. Hell, they may even have him come off the bench, very similar to what the Warriors
That's
did with
Curry.
Steph when they brought him back in the fold for game once. Because Steph missed a month with his foot issue. Luka's really been only he's really only dealing with this injury for what, a week now.
A
So
week and some change, yeah.
this is still relatively fresh for Luka. Overall, though, this is a very precarious situation for Dallas, like Kevin mentioned, because I think what Kevin tried to outline is more of like you have to look at this from Luka's like total career perspective. If I'm Dallas, I'm looking at this as like in the here and the now, and I think if they're not confident that he's going to be ready to go, I think there's a certain threshold where they'll see his progress. If he's like 85%, I think that's the threshold where they may play him. If he's not there yet, if he's not where he needs to be in pregame warmups, they may just sideline him for game 3. But let's say he comes back for game 3. How viable is he going to be? I think, depending on how Dallas uses him as far as what Jason Kidd sets up for him. I could definitely see him being a solid impact for Dallas in game 3. The point where they win against Utah on the road in game 3, I'm not really sold on that yet, just because I think Utah, they had an opportunity to go up 2-0 in the series. In game 2, they let that one slip. So I think that if I had to guess just off the top of my head, I would favor Utah in game 3. Does that mean that Dallas just scrubs game 3 and we'll just bring back Luka for game 4? Maybe. But I think if there's a real shot that Luka can play and he's not too hindered by this calf issue, I think he's going to play. That's kind of how I see it. And I think when you look at this series in its totality, if Luka returns and this calf issue isn't bothering him significantly, I think it tilts the scales in favor of Dallas moving forward. This is a series where I think it potentially goes 7 games, simply just because these teams are really evenly matched the way that I see it. Both teams have shown the ability to put up points in significant bunches. Really, I was just surprised that Jalen put up 41 points in that game 2 performance for Dallas. I was not expecting that, but if Jalen can produce in any sort of way like that in game 3, I definitely see that being a positive impact for Dallas, not moving forward just in game 3, but for the entire series as well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this whole scenario with Luka plays out. But if I just had to put my money on it, if I'm just pushing some chips on the table here, I think Luka will play limited minutes in game 3. I think he'll definitely get more burn in game 4. And I think with him being on the court, I think it really improves Dallas's chances to win the series, potentially in 7 games. But that's really kind of where I see this series going. It's going at least 6 and probably 7, just because these teams are so evenly matched. But I'm going to give a slight edge to Dallas because I think Luka is just that big of a difference maker, despite the fact that he's dealing with a lingering calf issue. But we'll see how it plays out. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it all ends up.